It's 1825 in Regency England, and King George IV indulges his love of pageantry and pomp with a very grand procession from Windsor to the races at Ascot. So strikingly successful is it, the Royal Procession becomes a permanent fixture, and the world's most famous racing procession and its connection to royalty are firmly linked. Fast forward almost 200 years, and the tradition continues. The distinctive landau carriages with their basket-weave sides have carried royalty across generations and future monarchs.
Now the Queen with Princess Elizabeth drives through the beautiful gates, really golden this year for the first time since 1910.
The carriages have captured significant moments in time and history.
Royal Ascot. Yes, in this Jubilee year it is indeed royal. The King, resting in his country home, is unable to be present, but the traditional and magnificent royal procession that graces this mecca of sportsmen and fashion is held. Her Majesty the Queen, radiant in gold lame and white fox fur, with the Duke and Duchess of York and the Prince of Wales, drive up the new mile in a state landau drawn by the famous Windsor Greys.
The carriages have played host to other royal families.
With Prince Rainier, Princess Grace. Royal Ascot's always meant grace and gracious living.
One of the most notable royal processions was in 2002, when 11 European royals were guests in recognition of the Queen's Golden Jubilee.
And a rousing ovation there from the crowds for this royal procession, a very glittering royal procession this year.
It was George IV, in an age before photographs and television, who quickly realised the landau's low sides and open framework made it the most accommodating carriage for King and Queen viewing. Today, the royal procession begins when the Queen and her guests are driven from Windsor Castle in a fleet of state cars painted in royal claret livery. The Queen's first state car, the 1950 Phantom 4, still leads this limousine procession. A unique local community celebration is awaiting their arrival. The carriages are first to meet the crowd. Grey horses have been pulling the monarch's carriages since Georgian times. Now the Windsor Greys are likely to be from the same family. Siblings Meg and Tyrone, and their father, Storm. Each Grey is named personally by the Queen. Landau drivers, postilions, have always worn a special Ascot livery, inspired by the royal racing colours. The changeover from car to carriage was a highlight back then, as it still is now. The elegant and stately landaus continue through the park.
But of course the horse-drawn landau is still honoured in the most honourable circles, even if lesser folks than royalty use the internal combustion engine.
The weather was kind for Gold Cup Day at Ascot, and the Queen was able to make the traditional drive through the Golden Gates and up the course.
Well, here is the royal procession just about to come through those Golden Gates. And in the first carriage, the Queen, of course.
At 2 p.m. precisely, the Windsor Greys lead the procession down the straight mile. A different path is chosen each day to protect the ground. Some suggest the going of the course can be determined by listening to how the carriage runs on the track. As the procession reaches the grandstand, the National Anthem is played by a Guards band.
The sun breaks through the clouds to welcome their Majesty the King and Queen.
The procession arrives at its final destination in the parade ring. And the racing begins. For some, the royal procession is a highlight that rivals the racing. Today, just as in 1825, the Royal Ascot procession continues to be an enthralling and riveting spectacle of royalty and racing.